Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to show you on how to import audio into Pro Tools, right? I'm going to maximize my edit window, and then I'm also going to maximize my mix window, right? Just to reiterate again on how to change between the mix and the edit window is by pressing Control on Windows PC, right? So basically on Windows, Command is Control, right? On Mac, it will be Command, and then on the Windows PC, it will be Control. So if I press Control on Windows PC equals, right? Simultaneously, they have to be both pressed down. Sorry, just to emphasize on that. You can switch between the edit window and the mix window, right? I would currently like it to be on my mix window. As I remind you again, you can see that by looking at the top left corner right here. It's written mix, which will tell you that you're on your mix window. So if you want to import audio into Pro Tools, there are basically two ways to get to the Import Audio Dialog box, which you'll see soon, right? One of the ways to get to the Import Audio Dialog box is by going to File, right? Navigate your mouse all the way to Import, and then select or click on Audio, right? This will open up the Audio Dialog box. Another way you can go about it is by clicking on, or on your keyboard using a keyboard shortcut saying Control Shift I, right? Of which obviously on the Mac will be Command Shift I, right? And you can also see those shortcuts right here. If I go to File, Import Audio, as you can see the shortcut next to the command right there, which is Control Shift I for Windows or Command Shift I for Mac, right? Let's use the shortcut Command Shift I. There we go. Now you are aware with what we'd call an Import Audio Dialog box, right? And then you can navigate to the files that you wanna import within your device, which is a computer or Mac. So I would like to find it under my E drive. I'm just gonna navigate to those files. Let's go there. And let's go for this one. And today, or on these videos, what I'm going to be using as an example, or the song that I'm going to be using, is a song by Actions called 1 Minute Smile, right? And basically when I click here and in there, I find basically the entirety of the, should I say, separates or stems of the song, right? Remember now, in this case, what I'm kind of preparing you guys to is for session management, which I'll kind of explain a bit later before the end of this video. Or maybe let me just explain it now, actually. So basically what we are trying to cover here with these videos, for the next series of videos, is basically session management, which is the process that you have or the process that you have to do before you start the mixing process, right? It is very important to remember that before you start the mixing process, you have to do session management. And session management basically has advantages of organizing your session, which in this case is your Pro Tools session, in such a way that it is easier to navigate within your session when you are mixing, right? And I say session management happens before the mixing process, because before session management you'll have your production phase, and the production phase is where you create the songs, record the vocals, record the instruments, and then you have different instruments like they have here. For example, they recorded a drum kit and they used let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 no 6 mics on the drum kit, right? When they used 6 mics on the drum kit, they created basically different separates, right? And then they recorded the bass, some couple of electric guitar takes and vocals, etc., right? Then they organized them very well in their production, exported them, and now they are sending it to the mixing engineer. right? Now, when the mixer engineer receives it, he receives an entire folder, right, that's got stems in it, like this, right? These are stems basically. And then we import them into Pro Tools. And when we import them into Pro Tools, we are basically now about to do session management before we start mixing. Mixing is the process where you basically balance the frequencies, balance the, should I say, the faders, which is the should I say, the loudness of the sounds, together the panning, where you pan left, right, left and right. Now you can pan, let's say, the kick to the left or the snare to the right, depending on where you want to place your instruments within the mix. You get. So that's the mixing process. But before you get to the mixing process, you're going to first start with session management, so that when you are mixing, you can navigate very nice and easily. There are very huge advantages for basically going through the session management process, which then allow you to work quicker, more efficient, and you basically know where your sounds are, especially once you've kind of adapted in your own workflow. Session management takes part within your workflow, right? So currently, we are in our Import Audio dialog box, and we have navigated to the folder that contains our separates, which are these separates, right? So in order for us to import them successfully into Pro Tools and into our session folder, remember guys, I spoke about the importance of the session folder and the file structure in the previous videos, right? Now, we are going to basically now import them, and it's very important that you remember on how to import them correctly so that they stay in your session folder. And I'll show you what happens after we're done. So let's maybe take some time. Let's look at our session folder in the meantime. So let's go to our session folder. Let me just open that one up right here, right? If I go back again, I should be on my desktop. I've got my session folder right here, right? And in my desktop, in my session folder, I'll just double click on it. I've got the different files that are contained within my session folder, right? And then in there, I've got the audio files. Remember, in the previous video, what I did say was that the audio files contains the files that you have imported, right, or recorded, right? That's very important to understand, right? So if I click on it, you can see it's currently empty. So we're going to import audio so that it is imported into our audio files that is contained in our session folder. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to leave us inside our session folder in the meantime. Minimize that, then move to my Import Audio dialog box. Right. So now I'm at my Import Audio dialog box. I'm going to then click on one of the instruments. Then I'm going to press Shift, right, and scroll all the way down. Sorry, I don't know why now I don't know why my computer's reacting that way. So I'm going to go open my Import Audio dialog box again. So I'm going to go Control Shift I. Yeah, now it's lost me, hey? So I'm going to have to navigate back to where I was again. So I'm going to move to my data right there. Let's move to work again. Navigating to those audio files again. Okay, they were contained here. Main evidence. And we said this one. There we are again, right? So I'm just going to click here, and I can also just go Control A or Command A, which is going to select all of them. Now, this is the important part I want to cover, guys. That is very important in importing audio into Pro Tools, right? Now, whenever importing audio into Pro Tools, you want to make sure that you choose Convert Files or Copy Files. I'll repeat that. Whenever you import files into Pro Tools, you want to make sure that you choose Convert Files or Import files. The reason being, if you choose convert files or copy files, sorry, not import files, convert or copy files. Sometimes this convert files menu or tab right here will be written as copy files. Now, whenever you choose those, what it does is it takes the audio from its original folder where you navigated to, right, and copies it into your audio files that is contained in your session folder, right? And this is to ensure that all the work or all the data or files associated with the session that you'll be working with, which is this session right here, the Pro Tools session that you're working in and that you're importing the audio to, is basically contained in the session folder, so that when you move the session folder around, you also move it with the audio files that are associated with it. I hope we have a clear understanding on that one, right? So then I am going to choose convert files, right? As you can see, it goes into this area right here. From there, I'm going to click on done. When I click on done, what Pro Tools does is open up another dialog box that says choose a destination folder. Automatically, that destination folder that Pro Tools basically suggests to you is the folder that is contained in your session folder. So as you can see here, it's written audio files. This is the audio files folder that is contained in my session folder. So what do I go and do? I choose use current folder. Then Pro Tools will process the audio, basically converting it so that it matches the session parameters, which were the ones that we chose: 24-bit for sample rate, 24-bit for bit depth, sorry, and then 48 kilohertz for sample rate, right? So it's basically converting them, because obviously those audio files were not at 24-bit bit depth and were not at 48 kilohertz for sample rate, right? Now, what's very important when importing files, right? And I'll show you when I press command equals or control equals again, when I move to my edit window, is that when you get to this part of your import process, you get an audio import options dialog box, which allows you to create new tracks. You want to make sure that you are creating new tracks. You don't want to put it on your clip list. You just want to make sure that you create new tracks. And then you want to make sure that all those tracks start from your session start, because they stems. So that means then when they were basically sent to you, they were sent to you in the length of the entire session, from the start to the end, right? So the length of the entire song, let me put it that way, from the start to the end, right? So what you want to make sure that is that when you are importing them, you are literally putting them at the beginning of your session, right? And then you can click OK. Pro Tools will import them within your session. If I click on command equals, then they will be placed at the beginning of my session. Now, to reiterate again as to what happens when you're importing them when it comes to the file structure of Pro Tools, right? I'm going to open up again our file, right, our session folder. As I click on my session folder, right, what you will see then, I'm back in my session folder now, is the audio files folder that is contained within my session folder, right? And if I click on there, it might take some time just to read through what's contained in my folder. So I'll just wait there. Sorry about that. And as you can see, guys, right here, we've got all the audio files we imported into our session that is now contained in my session folder. Very important to know this. And this is why then whenever you move your Pro Tools session to save it into your drive or to submit it, you must submit the session folder and not the PTX file. Because if you submit the PTX file, you are leaving behind the audio files. You're leaving behind the bounce files. You're leaving behind the session backups. You're leaving behind the WAV cache. Yeah? So please make sure that you submit your session folder, right? Your session folder, which is this one, the initial one. If I move back right here, sorry, into my desktop, I've got it right here, right? So remember that, guys, very important. Thank you very much. We've just completed the video that is based on importing audio.